Hi there, Heather here. Glad that you have joined me for today's podcast. If you are watching on YouTube, sorry there isn't a video of me to go along with this audio. It's been a long day, not feeling very camera confident, as my friend Crystal would say. But I wanted to take a moment before I kind of set up this episode for you to just acknowledge some things that have been going on. So today is July 4th. Over the past week and a half, there's been a lot of heavy and sad stuff happening around not only the U.S., but around the world. There's a lot of this that I do want to address, and I will, but it's going to be a little bit before I do so. For now, what I want to say about the happenings is that my heart hurts for our country and the other countries around the world that are experiencing violence and war. And I'm angry at our lawmakers. I don't really understand what some of them are thinking. And I'm saddened by the loss of life due to gun violence. Gun violence from people shooting innocent people, and also police officers shooting people. It saddens me that this continues to be a narrative. But I'm gonna, again, there's a lot to process, and so more to come as I do. Right now, though, I want to give you an episode that will hopefully bring a small distraction to you for a little over an hour. Hopefully, it brings in some laughs for you, and you can cringe with me as we as we watch and listen to some things from my past. When I first recorded this podcast, it was pretty long, so I did decide to split it into 2 episodes. So in part 1, we are covering how toxic positivity showed up in my life over the last 4 years. If you are not familiar with that term, don't worry, I cover the basics in this podcast. And in part 2, which comes out on Thursday, I do go deeper into what toxic positivity is and how to overcome it. So if you're listening to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform, here's a heads up. We're watching some videos. We're going to review some content on Instagram. So if something isn't fully explained, I apologize. You can always hop over to YouTube and check out the video at a later point. Link is always in the show notes. So I say that. Is the link in the show notes? I'll try to make sure the link's in the show notes. If not, you can find me over on YouTube. Okay, cool. Got it. All right, with that, let's get into the episode, part 1. Hi, welcome everybody. Welcome to Connect the Dots. If you are new here, this is a podcast, also a video podcast if you're watching on YouTube. But on this podcast, I take the time to dive into deep thoughts, so those deep thought-provoking questions that come across my mind. We discuss neurodiversity, I interview interesting people, and I do episodes about navigating the workplace and how all of these things kind of come together, and we work to connect the dots across all aspects of this journey that we call life. My name is Heather, and I'm your host for this journey. I'm excited to have you here with me. The past couple of weeks have been a lot. So it's been, I know my post or my podcast from last week was late, so my apologies for that. It didn't come out on Thursday. It was just, I posted this on Instagram. It'd been a heavy week with a lot of different things, and I just couldn't. I didn't have the like mental capacity or like space to sit down and do a fun episode, because that's what the 5th Thursday of when we have a 5th Thursday of a month, it's a fun episode, and I couldn't find anything fun that I wanted to talk about in order to get the podcast out on Thursday. So I hope that you understand, right? I'm not going to force. I'm not going to force fun. If I'm not feeling it, then we're just gonna delay it until I can get back into that right headspace, because I want this to be authentic. I don't want this to be like I said, I don't want it to be forced. I don't want it to be fake. I pride myself on being as authentic as I possibly can, and making sure that I'm sharing my thoughts, and I'm sharing if I quote somebody, if I go and pull stuff from resources, I'm sharing that too, and then I am who I am, right? If you were to meet me outside, in this digital world, right, in real life, as I say, you wouldn't be surprised. So you'd be like, you're exactly the same. Yes. The only difference would probably be just simply that I'm not talking. I like to talk in this aspect, and I like to talk in some situations, but typically I am an introvert. I am a reserved introvert, if you are familiar with neurocolor analysis, which means, right, I recharge by being by myself. So that is, I think, why podcasting for me is it's one of my favorite things to do, because it is, other than when I do interviews, right, this is a solo activity. It speaks to my introverted, reserved heart. Okay, that is enough. I have jabbered on enough about whatever. Let's get into today's episode. Today, this episode is really, it's one of self-reflection and growth. I will be very honest, because I think it's important to reflect back on things from our past, and it meant when we were wrong, or maybe when we had a skewed point of view. So on this Deep Thoughts episode, we are going to go down the rabbit hole that is toxic positivity, and specifically toxic positivity in my life. I have always been a positive person. If you've known me for any amount of time, you would probably say that is true. I try to see the good in situations, the good in people. I try to spread happiness and joy, always trying to see the silver lining in things. And there isn't anything wrong with being happy. There's nothing wrong with being positive. But it's when we are focused on being happy and we aren't allowing ourselves to feel other emotions. That's when it leads to toxic positivity, where it doesn't matter what's going on. You can't acknowledge the other emotions in yourself or other people. And that's when it starts to become toxic. And we're going to get into a lot more as we go along today, so don't worry. But in early 2018, I was going through a lot of emotions. I had lost my stepfather and my grandmother in the 2 years prior. My relationship with some of my family was pretty tense. My job was pretty stressful. And I was really in a place where I was longing for some positivity. I was really needing that positivity in my life, because it just, everywhere I looked was sadness, was grief, was hard, anger, like all of those emotions. And at this point in time, enter Rachel Hollis. I don't know exactly how Rachel came onto my radar. It's probably from somebody on Instagram sharing something that she did, or maybe like a Facebook ad or something. I don't know. But I started following her and her then husband, Dave. she had published her first nonfiction book, her first nonfiction book aside from cookbooks. This book was published in February of 2018. It was called Girl Wash Your Face. I remember getting it on audiobook and listening while I was working. I had my role at the time. I had some like really heavy admin kind of tasks where I was like sorting through things, and so I would listen to books while I did that because I could do the two at the same time. And I was bought in. I was bought into this message that she was putting out there. This self-help, this self-improvement, this personal development message that Rachel was sharing. I was in. I started recommending it to people, joining Facebook groups, again, following on Instagram, sharing things on Instagram, posting on Instagram, really into the culture, up into the point too of I almost went to a conference, one of the conferences that she held. Me and two of my friends were going to buy tickets and go together. I had already reserved the Airbnb in Minneapolis. I think it was Minneapolis. I'd already reserved our Airbnb though, and we get on to get tickets. Two of us didn't get tickets. One of us did. I was not the one. So I canceled the Airbnb, right? So I couldn't go. I was kind of sad about it. I ended up going, I think like the next year I did her, like, this is during COVID. I did the online conference that she did. So I paid the money and watched online on a Saturday, for however many hours it was, watched all of these speakers, taking all the notes. I bought the t-shirt. She sold journals. I bought the journals. I have, I think, 2 or 3 of them. I bought her second book, Girl Stop Apologizing. Like, I was in it. Some of the phrases that she would commonly use were like choose joy or made for more. Speaking of made for more, she had a documentary called Made for More. I went and saw it in the theater with a friend. Like, I was all in. Toxic positivity. Looking back, right? At that point, I didn't feel like it was toxic. It didn't seem toxic to me. So it felt good. It felt like I had something else to work toward. It felt like I had somebody helping to give me direction on where I needed to go, because I was in a space where I was a little lost. I wasn't really sure on what to do with my emotions. And so enter again, Rachel Hollis in all of the things that she brought in. And it really, right place, right time for me. And I will say, I will give her credit for helping me start the origins of this podcast. Because it was all about pushing yourself and doing more and just go ahead and just jump, right? Go ahead, just do it because you're made for more, push toward it. So I will again give her credit for the origins of this podcast, not the podcast, because that came 2 years later. But the origins of it. So let's travel back in time a bit. We're going to go to August 2018. And this is where, and this is when I started the MsHeatherB.ig account, which we're going to look at here in a few minutes. I'm going to share it with you. Which, I mean, if you're on Instagram, you can go look at it now, right? This is the current one that I use because I'm not going to change, right? It's been there now for almost 4 years. I'm not changing the name of it. I'm not going to do that. It is what it is. So we're going to go take a look at it. We're going to go all the way back to the beginnings. But first, we're going to start by watching a video that I posted in August of 2018 where I reviewed the book, Girl Wash Your Face. Whew. I have not watched this video. I'll be very honest. I have not watched this video probably since I posted it. I may have watched little pieces of it just because I was like, oh, I forgot this was here, or oh my gosh, I can't believe this is here. So this is going to be like a reaction video to my own video. Awkward. Sorry. But I'm going to give you my unfiltered reaction, right? And I'm going to be critical of myself. I'm going to call myself out. If you've watched, there's a video I have right now on my YouTube channel. It did not come out as a podcast, but on the YouTube channel, I do have a reaction video to one of her podcasts. Where, and if you've watched a reaction video to anything of this nature, watch the video, we'll pause it, we'll talk about it, we'll pause it, we'll talk about it. And I'm going to treat this just like I would treat any other reaction video. Because I think that's important. It's important for me to be honest about where I was. And we're going to take the good and the bad. We're going to talk about it all. So let me just, before we go any further, I don't want to digress anymore. All right, we're going to share this. So that should be, there we go. All right, everybody. So this is a 13-minute video. We can speed it up if we need to, but you can see, right, so this is August 19th of 2018. It's had 44 views. Look at that. Yay. All right, everybody. Let's see how I did. Oh, goodness.
Girl, wash your face. Hey, folks. Welcome to my desk. My name is Heather, and today we are going to review one of my favorite books.
Oh. Y'all just... Okay, we'll just keep going. I'm sorry. It was one of my favorite books, definitely, at the time.
Now, before we hop into this, if you like what you see today, if you want to see more of this stuff, please let me know. Please like the video, the little thumbs up sign down there. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the little notification bell so you know when the next video comes up. I am looking forward to making more for you. So the book I want to talk about today is Girl, Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. This is a truly amazing book. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list. So this book is changing lives. I want to tell you kind of my favorite.
Oh, this is changing lives. Changing lives. Okay, sorry. I know there will be again. There are parts of what I guess is probably in this video that are good self-reflection things and all that jazz, but sorry. I'm cringy to myself at this moment. Okay, sorry. Let's continue.
About it, what I learned from it, the top 3 or 4 chapters that really spoke to me, and then I'm going to give you my 5 takeaways at the end. So let's get into it. Girl, Wash Your Face. It brings together 20 lies that we tell ourselves as women. And she works through how she overcame them in her life. So she says chapter 1 is this lie. And then she goes through to tell you her story of how is that her lie? How did that impact her life? What did that do? And then she talks about ways that she overcame it. So the first one's going to be chapter 3. The lie, I am not good enough. So she starts the chapter by discussing the fact that she's a recovering workaholic. And this is a term I've used many years about myself, though I still have those tendencies.
So speaking of workaholic, if you've listened to the podcast a little bit, we've talked about the term workaholic and how and how I've thought about it and worked through that as well. Okay. Yep. Sorry. I'll link the post below, or the podcast. I'll link the workaholic one where we talk about it in the notes.
Growing up, I was an only child for 12 years. Always told that I was smart and given praise for my good grades. And when I didn't get those good grades, well, getting a B would mean I'm definitely being grounded. So for the span of my entire time from elementary to high school, I made 2 Bs. 1 in 7th grade English because I failed the test on Old Yeller, and 1 in 9th grade algebra because I just didn't get what the teacher was saying. Making those Bs made me feel like I wasn't good enough. Would I lose the love of my parents because of it? Of course not. No, they're not going to love me less. But they pushed me. They love me regardless. They wanted me to be the best that I could be. In adulthood, how this has shown up is as a woman in the technology industry, I have often been the only woman in the room and the youngest person. It didn't help either that I'm only 5'3". And most of the men I worked with were 6 feet tall. So they just kind of forgot I was there somehow. So I always felt like an imposter. Like I wasn't good enough to be there. I didn't deserve to sit at that table. But looking back, I worked my tail off.
Y'all, and I'm going to say this, that is a phrase right out of the Rachel Hollis dictionary phrases that she uses is, I've worked my tail off, and I've even said it on this podcast, I think, or I've said it in other things. Oh, look at that screen, look at that, ooh, that pause is fantastic, Heather, great. But yeah, that is definitely a phrase right out of the Rachel Hollis handbook. Of I've worked my tail off to do this. Nobody, works as hard as me. Blah blah.
Get to that table. I hustled to make opportunities for myself.
Hustle. Oh, I hustled. Hustle, y'all. Oh Lord. Okay, I want to say this though, right? I did work really hard. I went, I was in college. I worked hard at my job. I trained myself. I did extracurricular, like studying and learning of things, to be able to do a good job. So I don't want to negate all the work that I did to be at that table, to be in those places. I won't negate that work because I am proud of that. But just the phrasing of it here just is not, it's not in the right, this is not the right mindset to have about it.
And at the end of this chapter, Rachel says one of the things that helped her most was to hustle for joy. And when I look back at how I hustled and how I worked hard, I did it for joy. I loved training people. I loved leading people. Those are things that I am passionate about. So I hustled to make those things happen in my life. Today, I have all of those things, same things that I enjoy, but I also go after the belly laughs. I go after the vacations, the quiet times on the back porch swing with my husband. I want all of it. And I am good enough to get it. And so are you. So chapter...
And so are you. There's a video that I'll link down in the notes that I'll talk about here in a little bit. But it's a TED Talk, and in that particular TED Talk, the young lady was talking about toxic positivity and how it worked in her life, and one of the examples that she used in there was, well, if I can do it, you can do it too. The basic statement, like the sentiment of the statement is, I think it tries to come from that place of like, I want to encourage you and support you, but you can't blanket statement that fact to everybody. If I can do it, you can do it too. Or, that type of thing. You can't blanket that statement, because that is not always possible. Based on people's circumstances, based on the privileges that some people have, that others don't. So I think that is part of this problematic toxic positivity, is when you aren't acknowledging that people do have different upbringings and different resources, those types of things. You have to be able to acknowledge those things. Now here, right, I said, if I'm good enough and so are you, let me let me make sure that you do understand, right? At the end of every episode, I end it by reminding you that you are worthy, that you are loved, because you are. I think it's part of that kind of phrasing or that thought process around you are enough. As a child of God, you are. Again, it's the twisting of it into that kind of toxic place that it's hard. It's hard for me to go back and hear this again. And I know, and I apologize, like if my commentary on this isn't maybe making a complete connection or a complete sense. Like I said, I have not watched this. I am watching this. I did not watch it to prep, so this is just how it goes. Again, I am trying to, I'm trying to. This is who I am. I don't want to prep the perfect things, as you can tell. In this, like I wrote out the script for the video that we're watching, and I still write out scripts for my podcast, but I don't stay on script 90% of the time. I do not stay on script. I typically, here's my base thought. Let me go around it to fill in those spaces. So okay, sorry. Back to it.
Okay, this is the lie. I should be further along by now. So social media really does bring out the best and worst in me, pretty much everybody else. But I love to see my friends and their kids. It's back to school season right now, so it's huge for people to be putting up those pictures. I like to see what people are having for dinner because I love food. I love it when people share inspirational quotes and motivational stories. I mean, I am a sucker for a 2-minute video that like makes you want to like rise up and just conquer your day and even makes you cry a little. Social media is also a place that causes me to second guess the decisions that I've made in my life and to compare myself to others. So seeing a girl from high school,
social media still brings can bring out the worst in people. I'm going to say that particular statement still holds true, that it's hard, like it's hard sometimes to like not compare yourself to other people.
Has already made herself like a successful businesswoman. Maybe it's an influencer who has this perfect life, and she's 8 years younger than me. Gosh, it's so easy to say, why not me? Why can't I be that person? Shouldn't I be farther along by now? When I graduated high school, I started college. I got married between my freshman and sophomore year of college. And so many people in my family told me that you'll never finish college. You'll never finish. Well, let me tell you. I finished my bachelor's degree in 4 years, working a full-time 40-plus hour a week retail sales job. Hard work. And I have since completed my master's degree. I put in a lot of work to build my career, and so many times I have thought, why am I not farther along? What am I doing wrong? What's wrong with this picture? And reading this book and thinking back, let me tell you what I am and was doing wrong, because this still gets me, right? I still struggle with this. I was second guessing the journey that I am meant to take. I was speaking negativity into my days. I was comparing my beginning to someone else's middle.
Oh, okay. I don't think I don't agree nor disagree with all of the things that I'm saying here. It's important to remember, like, when you're comparing yourself, that everybody's journey is different, and that you don't know the background and the circumstance and kind of where they are in that journey. Because if they're showing all of this big stuff, they've worked, they've hopefully, probably, have years of like moving towards that goal. And so they are farther along in your journey. So you can't compare yourself starting out to where they are now. Like if I were to compare myself, to somebody like, oh gosh, I'm trying to think of who I could compare myself to. Maybe let's say one of the original podcasts that got me into podcasting, Coaching for Leaders, Dave Stachowiak. If I tried to compare my numbers right now to his numbers, that's not fair, because he's been doing it like 10 or 12 years longer than me. So there's no way we're comparable. And so I think that's an important part to remember. That is good advice to remember, that your journey is going to look different than other people's, and that you don't have to be in the same spot, because maybe they started before you, or, I mean, heck, maybe they started after you and they're further than you, and you're like, but wait, they're further ahead than me. Guess what? You don't know the things that they might have had to get them there. Maybe they had a different background, they had a different push, a different promotion. I think about sometimes thinking about YouTube specifically is when you see somebody, like if you start your YouTube page and you don't, and you've had it for a couple of years, and like you've been putting out content, but you're still like, you still don't have that many, subscribers, right? Maybe you're, still under that like 1,000 subscriber mark. And then somebody, comes along and they start their YouTube channel. Their YouTube channel is about a completely different topic. And all of a sudden they have 5,000 subscribers, because it's the topic that they chose to focus on is one that is maybe more popular at that point in time. So you can't compare those two journeys, because it's not the same thing. So.
This is a concept that Rachel talks about a lot, that really inspired me, because I'm just at the beginning of my journey, while that influencer that I was talking about, started working on her journey many years ago. There is no such thing as an overnight success. So we have to pick ourselves up and get to work. All right, the next chapter is chapter 17, The Lie.
To work.
I am defined by my weight. Oof. I have listened to this chapter several times since I first listened to the book, because we definitely, we have a culture that the emphasis is really put on how much you weigh, or how you look. And that emphasis can really be crippling for anybody. Man, woman, child, adult, anybody at any age. It is something that can be absolutely crippling to you. In high school, when I was in marching band, I was part of the flag.
Okay, I know what story's coming up, so I'm just going to pause there for just a moment. This is one that's still, I think, it's still one that I struggle with. Is the weight that I'm not defined by my weight, or that I'm sorry, the lie that I am defined by my weight. It is very hard to kind of combat that. And so the story that I'm about to tell you, I don't think there's a need for a trigger warning on it, because it's not about any kind of eating disorder or anything like that. But it's a real story that I think partly did kind of shape my mindset around my relationship with my weight. So yeah.
Or color guard, whatever you want to call it. And I can remember people in my family saying that the flag corps was for the big girls. So, I didn't really think about it then, but, thinking about it today and talking to you about it, this really had an impact on my self-esteem. I was on the flag corps, so, I guess that made me a big girl. mean, really? I wore a size 7 or 9 when I was in high school. I mean, I think I weighed 115 pounds, 120 pounds. I'd love to weigh that today. I wasn't a big girl, but that is what I thought. That was in my mind. I yearned to be skinny, thinking it would help me be more popular, get me maybe one of the popular boys to ask me out on a date. But, you know, I wasn't a big girl, but I was letting that weight define me. I was letting that thought that my weight was a defining part of my life. Now, I've ridden this roller coaster of about the same 25 pounds since high school. It hasn't mattered, though, what size I am when it comes to my abilities. I am still a highly educated businesswoman. I am still a friend. I am still a daughter. I am still a sister. I am still a woman. I am not defined by my weight. Now, there's a second part to this equation that I want to talk about. So while I am not defined by my weight, I am responsible for taking care of my body. God gave me this one body, and it's my responsibility to take care of it. And taking care of yourself should be your number one priority, ladies. Whether you are a single girl in high school or college, or you are married with 12 children, does not matter. You should be your first priority. Are you drinking enough water? Are you exercising? Are you eating well? What are you doing every day to make sure that your well-being is a priority?
Yes, we should be priorities. I'm going to still agree with that your well-being is important. Your physical well-being, your mental well-being, those are extremely important pieces to this life. The way that I have framed it in this video is not to my liking at this point, but we should do a better job taking care of ourselves, men, women. We do have to do a better job about taking care of ourselves. I think especially in the mental health space, that it's important.
Because if you are not well, how are you going to care for those babies? How are you going to love on your fur baby?
I'm just gonna, if you have watched Rachel Hollis for the years like I have, you can tell in this video how influenced by her my verbiage is, by some of the things that I'm saying, how I say it. Yes, so much influence there.
How are you going to get through college? You have to take care of yourself. Number one. All right, chapter 20, the lie. I need a hero. I need a hero.
Okay, see, I still bust out into song. That part of me will always be there.
Can't help it. you hear the line, you want to sing the song. As the final chapter of this book, this one really drove home one core idea for me. I am enough. I am the one that can change my life. One of my favorite scenes from one of my favorite movies is from A Knight's Tale. And it's when Heath Ledger's character returns to Cheapside, where he was born, and he finds his father, who is now blind. And his father says, has my son returned home and has changed his stars? Has he changed his stars? Has he changed his life? Well, he had. He was the one that pushed through. He's the one that made the changes happen. Did he have help? Absolutely. But he asked for the help. You can't be scared to ask for help. But he's the one that pushed himself. This is the same that for me and for you. You have to make the decision to take the first step, open the door, make the phone call, ask the question. This is you, and you are capable of so much more. Now it's time
Okay.
to
There were some good things in that segment. Knight's Tale, still one of my favorite movies. Yep, love that movie. Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. But when I think it's the part about that I like, other than talking about one of my favorite movies, is that that you have to ask for help. Like, you can't be scared to ask for help. It's important to be able to kind of let your guard down. I don't think that's the right word, but just let yourself ask for assistance when you need it. Especially when we think about mental health, it can be scary to ask for help when it comes to our mental health. We might be scared to ask somebody to just listen to us, or to ask somebody for help in finding somebody to talk to. That can be scary to do that. So that point I still am in agreement with, that we do have to ask for help. I said something else at the end there, and I can't remember what it was, but it was definitely on the spin of toxic positivity, of not acknowledging that there are differences. Like, yeah, just being very blanket statement on something. So we're going to keep going though, for time's sake.
big picture, right? What are my 5 takeaways from this book? So, number 1, this is real. These are real lies that we tell ourselves. These are real stories that she went through. And this advice is really helpful. Takeaway number 2.
This advice was really helpful. In some ways.
We don't build each other up enough. This goes for women and men. We are often too busy tearing each other down than building each other up and helping each other combat these lies. Takeaway number 3. You can't change anyone else. You can only change yourself, and you are worth working on. Trust me on that one. Takeaway number 4. Hope.
Hope is not a strategy. Oh my gosh. Oh dear. Dear, sweet Heather. Sweet 4 years ago, Heather. Oh gosh. I think maybe I talked about it on the podcast. I don't remember which one, but I feel like I've had this conversation about hope is not a strategy before. I mean, just hoping things will change. I mean, no, it's not. Like, you can't just hope. So, but still, like, it's meant to be motivational, right? In the fact of, like, hope is not a strategy, right? So don't just hope about it. Like, do something about it, right? Like, just go forth to conquer, like, that type of, like, that's the underpinning of how the Hollises used this phrase, hope is not a strategy, is just simply meant to get you off your butt and be like, well, I'm just not going to hope this new business. Let me go do something about it. So, you know, I get it. It's just that part of, it's part of that toxic positivity culture where instead of in you know, they're just going, hope is not a strategy, but then not giving you real tangible steps of how do you make a strategy. Like, how do you come up with a strategy? How do you put it into practice? Like, that's the part that it's missing, or it's hidden behind a course, you know, or they have the illusion that, oh, but buy my course and I'm going to teach you the strategy. I think that's the part of this that's like, it's so frustrating.
Not a strategy. So if you follow Rachel on Instagram, she says this a lot in her Instagram stories.
So much.
But how true is this really? Hope is not a strategy. It's like hoping I'll finally get those six-pack abs as I polish off a box of cookies and a bottle of wine with no plans of working out.
I mean, that's true.
If you want something, you have to make a plan and go after it. That's how it works. You can't just hope. You have to make a plan and go after it. Number 5, you are made.
Oh, you knew it was coming, right?
Were you made to be sad?
You knew it was coming. You knew Made for More was coming. Jeez, Heather. Oh. Whew. Okay.
That are anxious or overwhelmed? No! Your creator didn't make you to sit still and just hope everything will work out. You were created as part of this grand plan. You have a purpose. It is up to you to get up and get to work. You were made for more, honey.
Oh,
There's a bonus.
honey.
Bonus takeaway for you today. I love it when Rachel says this because it's so true.
I almost don't even want to know. I don't even want to know what I say. Okay.
No one cares about your dreams as much as you do. So make a plan and get started today. We'll see you next time. Bye. Or better yet,
Wait, hold on. We gotta scroll back. What does my thing say?
See you next time.
What does it say? Hold on.
Bye.
I guess. But how do I get the book? Oh.
Or better yet, get it on Audible. That's how I first listened to the book.
I just want to note that, like, my choice of font was not legible. It was very, very Dave. How very Dave Hollis of me when, on his like arm tattoo. If you follow this, his tattoo on his arm, it says something about ships, but the S looks like or the H looks like a B or something. So, terrible font choice, Heather, on the transitions there.
And it is amazing because Rachel narrates it. So you just get all of her personality, all of the realness.
All of the realness. Oh, look, and it recommends a Rachel Hollis video. Of course it does. Oh man. Okay, there were a couple good points in there. It was pretty cringe for me. It was pretty cringeworthy in regards to just the fact of just the things that I said, just the toxic positivity, like the pieces that like I took to this like extreme of toxic positivity, and this will I promise I'm going to pull this a little bit more together here in just a moment. We're going to look at my old Instagram on my like the beginnings of my Instagram though, so just to again, like, this is part of deconstructing this, of kind of removing the, like, it's helping me reframe things in terms of how I used to be and how I used to say things, and then like how I want to do it now, and the things that I want and the things that I need to change, and I need to work on moving forward when it comes to the toxic positivity thing. So let's take a look real quick at my Instagram, the beginnings of my Instagram. So okay, here we go. So this is the beginning of my Instagram. Way down here. So this was the first one. This was August 16th. So just a couple days before that, that video dropped. And so this one, is, about how to accomplish your goal, right? And so know your purpose, put in the effort, be persistent. This is actually, I think this is something from the Bobby Bones book, talking about your three things or something. I can't remember. There's my, image of girl wash your face. Oh, sorry, going the wrong direction. Here we go. What's this one? Oh, look, there's the journal. This is oh wait, is this her journal? I can't remember what journal this is. This is either... Yeah, I think this is a Start Today journal. I think. Oof. I have to double check. Okay. We got coffee talk. I miss doing coffee talks. I'm just gonna be very honest. I used to do like a little 3 to 5 minute talk on Instagram every morning while I made my coffee. I haven't done that in a very long time, and I kind of miss it. I may start doing it again. We'll see. Oh, look, there's me editing what we just watched. Look at that. Look how cute I am. And the book review is live. Look at me holding that book. Very profesh. Motivational quote alert. All right, again, some more. So here's like Bobby Bones quote, Brendan Burchard. Here's a Dave Hollis quote, right? If someone has a problem with you becoming a better version of yourself, they're not a person you should have sitting in the front row of your life. Oh, of course not. I mean, I agree. Kind of still agree with that. Okay, so let's see. Here's some Rachel quotes. When you really want something, you will find a way, and when you don't, you don't really want something, you'll find an excuse. I feel like this is also partly a Mel Robbins quote. I'm gonna be honest about that. I feel like Mel Robbins says this as well. If you really want something, you will find a way. And when you really don't want something, you'll find an excuse. Wrong. I don't. It's not black and white like that. It's not a hard and fast. You'll find a way or find an excuse. It's not that. There are lots of other factors that go into this. Here's another one. Wake up every day and decide. Or every day you wake up and decide, am I going to be defined by the memories of my past or the vision I have for my future? Well, I think this is a fantastic spot to, maybe we'll stop looking at my Instagram, because I think that I'm trying not to be defined by the memories of my past and the toxic positivity that was really ruled my life for a very long time. And the vision that I have for the future is to not carry that around, not that toxic positivity, to not spread that, to actually let's talk about emotions, let's have empathy for each other, let's do those things instead of just telling everybody you should be happy. You should be happy. Yeah. Oh, look, okay, sorry, we're still scrolling here. Last 90 days. Yes. So this is the first time I did last 90 days. This is something that the Hollises used to do the last 3 months of the year. They would set a goal to stop doing, give something up for 30 or 90 days, right? So your morning routine, right? Do your 10 things you're thankful for, the dreams that you have, that kind of thing. So there's the first one there from 2018. It's way back. Oh gosh. There's day 2. Yeah. Let's see. I was excited about something here. Oh yeah, I got accepted into Colorado Christian to get my project management certification. Yay. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, so we got a bunch of different things here. Here we go. Oh, look, another Rachel Hollis quote. If you're unhappy, that's on you. Oh. Y'all, I know. I'm sorry. Personal development is not for broken people. It's for people who want a better life. So I think personal development, I think I should probably just take this as a note and do a whole quote or a whole episode about defining personal development, self-help, that kind of stuff, defining those things and breaking it out, because they all get lumped in together, development and self-help, they all get lumped in together, and I don't think it's always fair to lump them together. I see a Rachel Hollis one, so we're gonna at least do. Oh gosh, there's 2. Lord. It's not the fear of failure that keeps you in this place. It's a fear of what other people think of your failure. Nah. Here's another one. This is from Girl Stop Apologizing. I guess this book had come out by this point. When was this? So this was in November of 2018. When did that book come out? Because Girl Wash Your Face came out at the beginning of 2018. In February. Huh. Who you are is defined by the next decision you make, not the last one. Okay. Alright, we're gonna, yep. Oh, there's good old Ed Milet. Y'all, this is like, this backup, this scroll through is just like the collection of the toxic positivity starter kit. Except for, I'm going to say, except for possibly, Jessica, I cannot think of her last name at this moment. Noonday. Honegger, I think is her last name. It's blanking on it right now. I did like this book. There's good things in that book. But again, probably if I went back and read it now, or looked at it, there's probably toxic positivity, like, woven in through there. Let's take a look at this one. So, not having the knowledge just makes you teachable, not stupid. I mean, I think that's fair. I'm going to say that's a fair one. I'm going to give you a plus on that one, Rach. Yeah, so look at these books. So let's look at what I have here. So we have Brendon Burchard. There's another Brendon Burchard book here, Motivation Manifesto. Oh gosh, we have like Scammer of Scams, Dean Graziosi, here. Yeah, I gotta unfollow him. So the books on here that like are actually like valuable to read, Leadership 2.0, that's a good book. Bored and Brilliant's a fantastic book. I did a review on it way back in the 100 Days of Podcast. You can go find it on your favorite podcast platform. And John C. Maxwell, I like him too. So we got like, and Jen Hatmaker. I like Jen Hatmaker. I don't feel like she's on that toxic positivity train. Like others. She's been through some rough times. Oh, look, here we go. Oh, we got Dean Graziosi quote. Oh, y'all. This is just... It is... Yeah. This is... I love this picture of me. Sorry. Just randomly. It's a good one. Yeah. Okay. And I feel like we're kind of coming out of the... Well, there's still a Brendon Burchard quote. Yeah, I feel like, because there was a point in time here, right, that, like, yeah, so where I stopped posting for a while, and so then you can start to see where things, like, kind of take a change, in kind of what I'm focused on, and kind of how I'm putting stuff out in the world, you know, the kind of the messaging, as I launched my podcast, so, right, like, I counted down from 10, of my like favorite podcast and stuff. I know Rachel's was in there. I know their Rise Together podcast, her and Dave, it was in there too. So, yeah. Okay. But we see how, like, yeah, see, I reviewed Dave's book too early on in the podcast. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, yeah, here's where I went to the Rise X Live. So this was in May of 2020, right? So this is pandemic. So you can see, like, there was a lot in here that just, yeah, it definitely was, it definitely was a big influence on kind of what I did and what I said and how I felt. And when I think back to it, all this positivity was just masking my feelings. I wasn't able to truly work through the emotions that I was going through. And so I want to say this. I am sorry. I am sorry if I ever made you feel like your feelings were not valid. If, and you just, and I told you that you just needed to be positive and look on the bright side. That, in one of the TED Talks that I watched too, in prepping for this, the example that one of them used was, like when you're growing up, your parents even say, well, eat your vegetables because so-and-so in this country doesn't have their vegetables. Like, it's like shaming you into having this like feeling of well, I should be grateful, which is, if that part of toxic positivity is that you should be grateful, even though the bad things are happening, be grateful for it. No, like, you can be grateful and you can be thankful for the things that you have, but you can't deny them. You have to work through the emotions versus just focusing on the positive part. You actually need to feel the emotions and talk through the emotions versus putting them behind rose-colored glasses. And I'm not perfect at this. I still do this from time to time. This is a process to deconstruct this and reverse the things that I was like, that I was just like engulfing myself in for so many years. And now, now I can go and take a more critical listen to those things because the veil has been lifted and I see that now. So why now? Why am I going through this? Because I'm tired of masking. I'm tired of masking my emotions. I'm tired of hiding behind that positivity wall that's not helping anybody. I'm doing it because Rachel and Dave, who are now divorced, right? They've shown their true colors in various ways on Instagram and social media, in some of the things that they've done. And it makes it feel like, okay, you were putting all this energy and you were putting this out there, but now you weren't living by that. You weren't showing that, right? That was me and lots of other people that put them on that pedestal. And so when things happen, they have this, fall from grace. That's our bad for putting them up there, but they were putting themselves out there as this example to aspire to. And then, it all falls apart. And it makes you go back and take a look. And I want to take responsibility. I want to take responsibility for the things that I said, the things that I did in the name of choosing joy, and in pushing that on people. I want to take responsibility for the times that I did that. That's why we just listened to that video and watched that YouTube. That's why we just went through my my Instagram. It's cringy. It's not, I look back at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, Heather, like really, seriously, girl. But I have to take this time to heal. I have to take this time to push forward. I have to learn from it. I have to learn how to move from toxic positivity to that normal emotion, how to have normal emotions, how to talk about normal emotions. All right. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I know that was a lot of ground we covered there, watching the book review that I did and talking through some of my posts on Instagram. And I want to, again, apologize for when I was over the top with my toxic positivity in the past. And I want to restate that being positive and happy are not bad things. They are not bad things whatsoever. I love to be positive. I love to be happy. Those are two of my favorite emotions. Like when I'm smiling and laughing and being joyful, like those are great. But it's when that positivity is masking the real emotions, when it's not allowing you to feel those emotions, or makes you feel like those real emotions aren't valid. So part 2 comes out on Thursday, so stay tuned. we will dive in deeper into toxic positivity. I have a couple of TED Talks and some YouTube videos that I'm going to share some pieces of, and there's an article that I share some information from, because we're really going to focus on digging into like kind of what more of what is toxic positivity, and then how do we overcome toxic positivity? How do we flip the switch? What can we do to get out of that space? But until then, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. If you could subscribe to the podcast, maybe leave me a review, I would really appreciate it. If you're over on YouTube, would love it if you would subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications, hit the like button, comment, have some chats with me, come over to Instagram, all of that fun stuff. But until Thursday, when I will be back here with part 2, I want you to remember that you are loved, you are worthy, and there are great things ahead for you in this life if you trust and believe in the Lord. We'll see you Thursday.